I'm here in Denver, mid-August 2024 for the ConnectWise Big IT Nation Evolve and Grow event. I'll be doing interviews this whole week with managed service providers that are here and with vendors and with ConnectWise staff and ConnectWise leadership. Hope to gain some insight on the happenings that are going on. Also great insight from the managed service providers. But the following interview will be from this event here in Denver. Thanks so much for listening. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz. People ask me, how did I lose 130 pounds? The quick answer is always discipline. I started my business, wasn't paying attention to my health, was eating too much, drinking too much sweets. My daughter was born. Next thing I know, I'm pre-diabetic, I have hypertension. I knew something had to change. Discipline. I, like many of you, have faced many challenges in your career, in your family, in your life, in your faith. How did you attack them? How did you approach them? How did you solve them, hopefully? It all had to have some degree of discipline. I'm also asked, how did you found and start a tech business that lasted over 25 years? Discipline. I was committed to it, enjoyed technology, didn't enjoy some aspects of it, but knew it was necessary. Discipline. Our podcast mission, how do we use discipline to better ourselves and society? Join me, please, as I talk to interesting people and discuss how they use discipline in their family and their passion and their careers and how it helped them. Our podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. It'll be light and serious. Join us, please. Thank you for consideration. I know people that are golfers or fisher.
Mm-hmm.
You do both?
Obviously not at the same time.
Right.
I think I have before, which is fishing
Interesting.
for golf.
Fishing for golf.
Yeah, I would say it. It kind of depends on the time of year. Try to golf in the winter and fish in the summer.
In the Floridian winter. Yeah. And you
go.
Yeah. And the fishing, you go into the. I was going to say
actually,
the bay.
I'm on the East Coast.
Yes.
Right? So,
you're on the East Coast.
I live in Tampa, but I still got a place on the East
Coast. So you go into the ocean?
My boat is on the East Coast, generally on the Intercoast.
On the Intercoast.
We are more sandbar hoppers.
So what do you fish for?
Yep. Thank you. Whatever I can catch. Right. So I'm generally a sport fisherman.
I see.
Whatever you can catch in the Intercoastal. Redfish.
Redfish. Yeah.
Redfish.
Can you eat those?
No.
Oh, you say sports, so you catch and release.
Yeah,
I see. And for bait?
For bait?
Yeah. How do you catch them?
Shrimp. Shrimp, mullet.
Sounds
are
like
are you a fisherman?
I'm not. Whenever I get on that boat, Todd, I fall asleep. Yeah. I don't know what it is about the waves, about everything. It just puts me at such ease.
Yeah, a cocktail will help with that.
Every once in a while, sure. Yeah. But it sounds like you're more fishing than golf.
Probably so.
Yeah.
And my handicap would end it.
Yeah. I always try to talk people out of golf, but it's expensive, it's time consuming. At least fishing, you could bring other people and they don't all have to fish.
It's less frustrating.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah, it's less frustrating. Yeah.
So golf is a little bit better for you. Right?
Yeah, I guess that's true, especially if you're walking. Yeah.
Swinging a lot.
Yeah, swinging a lot. Yeah, I guess that is true. You're Chief Information Officer at ConnectWise. It's a lot of responsibility, Todd.
It is.
Yeah. What are your biggest challenges?
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So, well, first of all, I've been in IT, enterprise IT my entire career, so close to 30 years.
Wow.
So have seen a lot of things, change during that time frame, but the core mission is still the same, right? And that's to drive productivity in the organization, right? So we use technology in pretty much everything that we do, right? And if we don't, we should be.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Just trying to solve problems and really drive productivity, make people more effective, and ultimately just try to help us run a better company.
So you're from enterprise. What's it like working with ultimately with the managed service providers, generally in the
So
SMB?
definitely, it's been a learning curve, right?
Yeah,
So my role at ConnectWise, in terms of, it is an enterprise IT function,
I
right? But if you
see.
think about our partners,
Ah,
right, generally in the SMB, the
yeah.
larger ones at the medium size, and um, just different models, different ways of interacting. Um, different maturity level, and I think that's one of the really cool things that we do at ConnectWise
Mm.
is, with programs like this and events like this, where um, we look to help our partners mature their businesses and, get to a point where they're increasing their profitability and getting out of their business what they want to get out of.
Mm.
So really, really interesting. That's probably one of the things that surprised me the most when I joined.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I spent a lot of time talking about the software and, did my research, looked at all the products, impressive product suite. But the community aspects really were, it was a surprise. It
Hmm.
was a surprise. First event was at Secure in 22.
Ooh.
And, just to look around at the partners and see how they were really absorbing all of the information that was being presented. And it really struck me at that point that we have a role that is, different than any other software company, right? And that's really to help our partners um, be more effective in their business, run their business like a business, leverage the technology that we provide in the best ways to, help them deliver their service. And
Yeah.
I was really surprised by that. It's
Really?
pretty exciting.
So you're surprised in a good way.
In a good way, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, again, I expected, joining a software company.
Right.
I'd read a little bit about the, community aspect and the events that we put on, but to see how ingrained it is and how enabling it can be for our partners it was definitely a surprise.
Hmm.
It's exciting. I think it's, a big differentiator that we have.
How much does security fall into your lap? Does it keep you up at night?
It does. Luckily, I've got a good partner in Patrick,
Yes.
to help out with that. But, um, you know, does it keep me up at night? Actually, I would say no, it doesn't.
Good.
It's obviously a risk and it's a concern, and we want to do the best that we can, and we want to have the best practices that we can. We want to
Hmm.
educate people around what they should and shouldn't do, and I think if you do the right things and you've got a good incident response plan in the event that things happen, and they do happen,
Hmm.
then yeah, you'll be fine. It's a
So
little bit different than if you look back. While I think, sophistication of attacks and the
yeah.
prevalence of attacks has increased over the years, companies are more prepared, right, with all of the
Hmm.
education that we
Hmm.
do and controls that are put in place. We're more prepared for it than we were 10 years ago. I would say
Hmm.
10 years ago, it would have kept me up at night. It did,
Really?
right?
Yeah.
When you think about,
Yeah.
your greatest risk is really all of your colleagues and your employees, and making simple mistakes when they don't realize it, whether it's clicking on
Hmm.
an email, whether it's, configuring something incorrectly. And, so being prepared for those things and educating people, it's really changed over the years.
So we're here in Denver, like you mentioned. We're at what's it? It's August now, Q3.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful. I mean, I hate to say this, but summer's almost over, and so
Kids
we're
are
at
back in school.
yeah, kids are back at school. I already see the buses, and uh, Evolve is here, Grow is here. There's great vendors. There's great MSPs. ConnectWise is here. ConnectWise leadership is here. You're kind of having your meeting here as well.
Yep.
What's your goal in an event like this?
Well, anytime that we have the opportunity to interact with partners and,
Yeah.
chat with them around, what they do day in, day out, and just to understand the pains that they go through, so that we can do our job a little bit better, right? And as we're making decisions, that we're keeping the partner, front and center. The more that we interact with them, the more that we understand and we can
Right.
help and we can deliver better solutions, right?
Mm.
So that's one. And then this one is unique. Obviously, we're having our leadership offsite here as well. So trying to kind of balance our internal planning with spending as much time as we can with partners.
Mm. What can MSPs learn from you, from a chief information officer at ConnectWise?
It's the role that I provide is very similar to what an MSP would provide, right?
Ah,
I have probably less of the contractual sales side of things, but when it comes to delivery, we're all doing the same things, right? We're trying to drive
very
productivity,
interesting.
right? If you think about in MSP, you're probably at 70% of their cost is going to be in labor, right?
Mm.
The more effective, the more automated that they can be, the more profitable they're going to be,
Hmm.
right? And so we look at that from an internal productivity and a margin perspective, right? And so they obviously need to do the same thing. They need to manage risk for their clients.
Mm.
We manage risk for our internal company. Um, they're developing roadmaps and providing consultation for their clients. We do the same thing. It's just internal clients. So
Mm.
very very similar.
Hmm.
So love to chat with them and just articulate what we're doing. We had the opportunity back in February to spend some time at an Automation Nation event in
Oh, yeah.
Tampa,
Yeah.
and had the opportunity just to talk about the things that we do internally. Right,
Mm.
everybody is looking to be inspired and have some sort of an idea that you can take away from an event. And I think if you do, for the partners that are coming here, I think if they take away one really good idea that they can put into practice, it'll be worth it for them,
Yeah,
right?
it certainly will.
And so just sharing some of the use cases that we do, and listening to some of the use cases that our partners do, right?
Mm.
It triggers ideas and gives you insight and inspiration into something that you might be able to do internally. So
Hmm.
um, swapping stories and just collaborating and maybe stealing shamelessly is always a good thing to do.
Yes. What was the old thing? There's some acronym that I could steal with impunity or something. I forget what it was. But what is your message to the MSPs, Todd?
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
Always put your clients first, right? Making sure that you're delivering good, solid service to your customers. That's going to drive their repeat business and retention, and then run your business like a business, right? So,
Mm.
um, a lot of technology folks come in and they're great on the technology side,
Yes.
but they're running a business now, right? You have your own colleagues that will depend on you, and you've got to have you got to wear multiple hats,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
so always number one is make sure that your customers are happy, and then two, keep trying to get better
Mm.
and look to others for inspiration.
Mm. Yeah, you nailed it, Todd. Like so many of these MSPs are tech led, and some of those soft skills of sales and marketing and just interpersonal, working with others, sometimes they're lacking, and you've got to be well rounded. I mean, you're running a business now. And coming to a peer group like this, I know it changed my MSP when I came
Yeah,
into sitting in a room like this and meeting with the MSPs and then meeting with leadership. I mean, you're no longer on this island, and it helps.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good way of looking at it, right?
yeah,
We're all in
really
this
does.
together,
Yeah, yeah.
and the more that you can learn from others, right? Generally, we all have very similar problems, right?
Mm,
And to solve them in different ways is inefficient, right?
mm,
So.
How has AI changed what you do?
Well, it's driven a lot of interesting conversations,
Yes.
right? And everybody is looking to figure out how to leverage AI to drive value, right? And I think it's interesting because you're familiar with the hype cycle, right? You go through this peak of expectations, right? And everybody looks at AI and says, "Hey, it can solve everything for me,"
Yeah.
right? And then you dip into this trough of disillusionment where you're like, "Hey, I'm doing all these things, but I'm not getting the value from it," right? And I think where
Wow.
in particular as it pertains to generative AI, right? A lot of hype, and there's so much value that you're going to
Mm,
be able to get from it.
mm,
But it's finding those use cases, right? And identifying where you're really going to get the value, that is important. And
right.
don't get frustrated. Keep investing. Keep
Mm,
innovating. Keep partnering. Again, sharing stories and understanding how others are
mm,
able to leverage. Hey, the tools that we provide, the tools that you could buy from other vendors, the models that you can develop yourself. Right. I mean, there are many different ways that you can take advantage of it, and stick with it. The value is definitely there.
mm,
A little overhyped. It's
yeah.
not gonna, it's not curing cancer yet, but
Right.
as I've read, it's well on its way.
It is a large language model. It's just an LLM at this point. It's not true artificial intelligence, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you look. What was the concept you just talked about? The curve that you,
Yeah, so Gartner has a curve, right, where it's you with new technologies, they go through a hype cycle, right? And
the
you
hypes.
go to the peak of expectations, right, where everyone is you know, believes that
Sure. Next new thing is everything. Yeah.
this innovation is the next big
Yeah.
thing, and
Yes.
it could
Yeah.
very well be.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
But that hype always exceeds where you are in the life cycle, and
Oh.
so people will get disillusioned with it if you make the investment and you don't get the results that you're looking for initially, right?
Mm.
And that's called the trough of disillusionment. But
Truffles.
once you go through that, you then get onto what's called the slope of enlightenment, and you
Ah.
really realize how to get value out of the technology. And um,
Hmm.
and you can
Look at
get
that.
value along the way. And I think it's just people need to have that mentality when you're approaching new technology that you're gonna have some bumps in the road,
Mm.
and it's going to take a little while, but the value is going to be there. Stick with it.
Mm. Yeah, we definitely see that now in some of the valuations of these companies, but the technology is very exciting, you know.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
100%.
very, very exciting. What can MSPs do to be better partners with ConnectWise?
Engage,
Mm,
right? I think with anything, the more that you take advantage of the different opportunities, communities that are available, the more that we learn and we can better service them. So that
mm,
engagement model is huge, whether that's, working through your partner success managers, whether that's being involved in virtual communities, whether that's coming to events, just that engagement. It helps us and it will ultimately help them. So
mm. So I guess
and be transparent.
yeah, transparency is something. Yeah,
Nobody likes to um, have things sugar
right.
coated.
Feel like
I
they're
mean,
being
we don't like to hear people complain for the sake of complaining, but
Mm,
if there's something that is an opportunity, we want to know about it. So
mm.
transparency is important.
Yeah, so the next logical, the other side is what can ConnectWise do better to help to partner with MSPs? Probably the same answer.
It's the flip side of that, right? It's listening.
Yeah.
It's being transparent. It's trying to find ways to to drive increased adoption of our products, engagement,
Mm,
making it easier to do business with us, right? And I mean, we have complexities. We've grown up over the years through acquisitions, and we've got new platforms, and we have a lot of technology that we manage. We have third-party products, and it's a complicated model. It really is. And so the more that we can simplify,
mm.
the easier it'll be for our partners.
Yeah, I want to go back to something you said earlier, Todd, when you went to that first secure event and you saw the kind of the camaraderie of I think you said it was in 22,
Mhm.
so it's 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. You saw this community of MSPs talking to each other, and even in these peer groups, you see even though they may be competing with each other, they're still really open. Has that view changed at all the last couple of years? Has it been solidified?
I think it's just been reinforced. It's
Hmm.
been reinforced. This community is truly a community,
Yeah.
right? I honestly, and I'm sure it happens. There's competition locally, and right,
Sure.
everyone is, clearly wants to grow their business and they want to win. But I have really only seen people want to collaborate and talk about
Yeah.
what they're doing,
Yeah.
and sharing stories. And again, 100%. There are people
Sure.
that are competitive, and I'm sure that that isn't the case. But in all circumstances, but by and large, I've been really impressed by the community and um, just the way that they support each other, and
Hmm.
it's really neat to be part of that.
What can MSPs look forward to that's coming down the road with ConnectWise in your area?
So I think from my perspective, I think it would be trying to work with our business partners to simplify
Hmm.
and make sure whether it's your, signing a contract, an agreement with us, whether it's you're looking at an invoice, whether it's you're logging in to um, increase your licenses for a product. just trying to make it easier. And I hope people see
Hmm.
that there's improvement, because it's clearly an area of focus. And
Yeah,
we'll
there's
keep doing
definitely
that.
improvement. Yeah, it's very visible. I'm no longer an MSP, but I see it, you know. So Todd, I started my MSP in the 90s and I was working way too hard. I'm sure you're no stranger to this.
Mhm.
And it was 14, 15-hour days and I wasn't paying attention to my health. And before you know it, I got myself up to 340 pounds. Doctor said to me,
You've
if I
done
don't,
well.
yeah, I
Good
don't
luck.
have it anymore. Doctor said to me, if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. You know, she was just born. Scared the hell out of me driving home, you know, punching the steering wheel. What have I done to myself? You know, it's my pie hole. I'm the one who, you know, has done this. So I spent the next, I spent the next 6, 7 months, lost about 130 pounds, you know,
Yeah.
and people, and I kept it off because you can't look at it as a finishing line. You know, you got to keep going. Uh, People want a quick answer. What would you do? What's your secret? And I have no secret. The answer is discipline. That's how. You know, I got willpower. I got order. I had this aha moment because now I have this daughter. I wonder how discipline plays a role in your life, Todd.
Yeah, it's interesting. It is interesting. It's an interesting question. And, I see discipline as, would describe it as things like accountability,
Hmm.
right? And, doing what you say you're going to do,
Hmm.
right? Honoring your commitments, being an owner,
Hmm.
not overcommitting, right? So understanding what it is that you can do, and being transparent, right? In
Yeah,
terms
that's true.
where you are and what you're doing. It's process-based
Yeah.
discipline, right?
Hmm.
The more that you repeat something, the better you get out of it. It's being, again, more process-based versus people-based. And
Hmm.
I think all of that falls into discipline. It's unplugging when you need to unplug. Obviously,
Hmm.
that worked for you, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's we spend a lot of time working, so you've got to enjoy that, but you also have to kind of shift around to the beginning of our conversation. You
Hmm.
got to have things that you enjoy outside of work. You got to be committed to family, and sometimes it takes discipline to have balance in your life.
Are you generally a process person? I get this. I get the.
Try to be,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All your life.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the value of kind of understanding the best way to do something and kind of
Hmm.
continuous improvement, and
Hmm.
realizing that if you can just improve a little bit every day, you get better in a number of days, right? And
Yeah.
not settling and trying not to be ad hoc. There are some things that aren't going to be repeatable, that are one time, that it doesn't necessarily invest. It doesn't make sense to invest the time to really lay things out and have repeatable
Hmm.
processes. But those things that that you're going to spend a lot of time doing, and you're going to repeat, you need to have a good solid process and foundation.
Ah, very cool. Todd, thanks so much for your
Absolutely.
time. I
Thank you.
really appreciate it and have a great show.
All right. Appreciate it.